So one of the things that there's a theory around what does it mean to have AI in your company be adopted, and it's by Ethan Mollick. It's called the crowd, the lab, and the leadership. So I had not known about this, but we implemented a version of this credibly. So when I first started working on generative AI, all I did was get a group of people in the company together. I did a training for them based on my own course. I did a generative AI training. I just actually finished 3 modules on agentic commerce and human AI collaboration and frontier models. Same group of managers where I literally record a video and I bring them into 1 hour sessions. I have them go to websites, do demos, and like learn to work with tools. And all of that is just drum up enthusiasm and lack of fear. And yes, there's going to be different levels of adoption and speed. That's one of the parts of managing the complexity around working with generative AI and having different clock speeds from different departments. So that's the crowd, right? People who are creating their own tools and experimenting and developing gems in Gemini and doing the Google Notebook. Like, and we have a lot of examples of that. We have over 100 use cases now in the company where employees themselves are just coming up with things to make their own work more efficient. Then we're like, oh, we should probably have a policy. So we created some policies in the handbook that told people what they could and couldn't do. Then we also have the lab, and the lab is the skunkworks team. Those are the people that did enterprise level solutions. And these are all now prompts that, people who are more sophisticated, they're in a central place where people can go and look and modify and edit, play across different models. They have access to different frontier models. We give them the subscription to do that. They have to develop APIs because now it's not in the chat room anymore, right? You're truly interfacing with the model at scale. So we did that. That's part of our work stream. That's how we got our 2 patents on GenAI. That's all the agentic stuff that now I'm working through, building agents. Then the third part is the strategy. And that was the last part because we got to a point where I was like, we should probably have a top-down vision of what we want the company to be. So I took the entire executive team on essentially a couple of workshops where we use scenario planning tools to imagine the future with AI, what our teams are going to look like, what are the titles and roles of these teams in this new world? What are the competencies that these people have to have? And then are we creating projects and moonshots to help them develop these competencies? I run marketing, right? So what does a brand manager role look like in the future? What does an underwriter's role look like in operations? It quickly became very clear, for example, that in the future world, a lot of the managerial duties has to do with defining objectives and defining risk and using their experience to understand and guide AI to know what's good output and what's not good output. And that's one of those things where, okay, now people are like, great, like how do I maintain those skill sets? Well, we're going to have continuous training where you're working to figure out how to underwrite certain kinds of deals. You can't just give it all to AI. You have to keep that competency up because you have to keep guiding these models to where you need them to go. We think that the QA function is going to grow because now you're QAing much more output because you have AI that can do more work now, but certain parts of the company has to grow. So monitoring frameworks, models, data science, like all these things are starting to become more important. So having that top-down strategy, I think in terms of a leadership philosophy is you have to have different ways to bring people along, but it absolutely starts with training and getting people excited and at a minimum, not afraid of the tools. And then we'll work from there.